Lesson 75. Equation of
I'm sorry.
equations of circles. Some things you know. And you also need a piece of graph paper if you've not gotten it yet. We're going to graph things.
Wait, that's the equation.
No! Oh, I'm sorry. Ultimately, let's be quiet, let's listen, let's pay attention.
Nicole, can you
So, equations, one equation you automatically know, it's a linear equation. I'm still on eraser, I apologize.
guess what tomorrow is?
May the 4th.
Yes, but it's also the Kentucky Derby. Okay, so
Oh,
it is.
Oh, my God.
Ellen apparently does.
Okay, well, be quiet.
Hey, Lorenzo.
A linear equation. Y equals mx plus b. You know that, yes?
Yes.
Okay? Yes. Linear equation is going to be a y equals mx plus b. The x is always there by itself. There's an x and a y. Really, you can have an x equals or just a y equals. We've done those. Those are equations of lines that are going to be straight and flat. Okay? You know something about a parabola, yes?
Yes. It hits the x-axis at one point. Right?
It can. Okay? We call those quadratics. A quadratic equation. Does anybody know something about a quadratic equation? What does it always have?
X squared.
An x squared. You could put y equals x squared. Or you could put a x squared plus bx plus c equals y or equals 0.
Oh,
That's a standard form. Yes, ma'am.
what's the equation that's like x plus or minus something?
That's the quadratic formula.
Oh,
And it solves for x. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So you've got your a, your b, and your c. And you can write a quadratic formula to solve a quadratic equation. But you always want them all together. One thing special with quadratics, there's always a square. Does it always have to be with the x? Could it be with a y? Ultimately, it can. But just one thing is squared. Okay, that's a quadratic. You've seen that. Today, we are going to talk about circles. Circles, guess what? It's going to be similar. So we all know this is a parabola, right? Parabola up or parabola down or sideways. What will that give you?
2x squared.
That's still going to be a parabola going up. That just means there's an a. Okay?
Wait,
That's what they just said. If you just multiply anything times 2.
take the square root of it
No,
Put it
the
over-
whole
put it-
thing.
as the denominator of a fraction.
Multiply the whole thing. Not just thing. The whole.
Wait, can a parabola even be like this?
Wait, I have no idea what your question is.
I don't really know.
You didn't even ask.
What are
I don't know if I even really ask a question. Circles. Okay, I said you can have x squared. Could it be a y squared equals?
Yes.
One thing has a square, but only one thing. Okay?
Did you say how do you get rid of the square?
No.
So how do you make a circle? If that's parabola. So then I was like, you got 2 pieces on this. Okay. But the parabola is like long.
So, okay, if we multiply by 2, it just gets skinnier or fatter. That's all that a does.
Wait, what is that called? Squeeze? Smush? What is it?
It makes it tighter? I don't know.
There's words.
I'm sure there were words. A circle will have an x squared and a y squared.
And our
I thought you said just one thing could be squared.
That's a quadratic. A quadratic. Only one thing will be squared. But in a circle, 2 things will be squared. Now, I'm just going to write something up there, and you're going to say what Miss Evans, you just told told me that only two things are going to be squared. Okay? But R is always going to be a number. Guess what the R is going to be in your
Radius.
radius? Radius.
Oh, you totally
Bravo.
saw that.
So how do you do that in your calculator?
You don't.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
for a long time. Okay?
But if you wanted to.
No. Stop. Okay? We don't have time for that. Ask me on Monday after we've done the review, or on Tuesday after the test. Okay? So circles will be the equation. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. R is the radius, and it's just squared. Okay? So don't look at this next page until I erase.
That reminds me. Is my calculator charged?
It's green, and it won't turn on.
Okay, so could the batteries be dead, or is it just screwed?
I don't know.
Can we look now?
I don't know. Yes, you can look now. Okay? So I put a graph up here, so we're going to graph. And I've written x squared plus y squared equals r squared, but it's the equation of a circle, and I did not say. Centered at the origin. Does that matter?
Yes.
It does
Or else it
matter.
wouldn't be up there.
Or else it would not be up there. So right now we are only going to talk about ones that are centered at the origin. Means the center of my circle will be right here in the middle. That's 0, 0. So let's go ahead and graph. X squared plus y squared equals 9. That's what an equation will actually look like. X squared plus y squared equals 9. If it's centered at the origin, how far out, how far up are we going to go? 9.
No.
10.
X
No.
squared
3. Good
is
job.
going to equal r squared. So what is the radius? 3. Okay, so I'm not really going to write 3 squared there. So we'll have two things that are squared, and then you have to know to look your radius. Take the square root of that last number. So I put my point at, so it's going to go 3 to the right.
It's not going to be a good circle.
It never is, so just get used to it. These circles, I do my best to touch.
No, it's got a
It's like a
corner.
curved
Yes.
square.
It is like a curved square. Every single one.
It's a
It kind of
marshmallow.
looks like a football.
Mine is.
Marshmallow.
Not. I heard throw pillow.
Oh, Well, no,
Not in the middle.
the origin is not a whole pillow.
What's my problem? A lot.
Yeah, we don't really.
Are you okay?
So,
I'm so sorry.
What is she laughing?
Well, she said it looks like a football. I was like, do you know what football looks like?
okay.
I can see it. Oh, I see.
Oh, I totally see it.
Yeah.
No, but I see it McMurray's way, where it's like we're looking at the front.
It's coming at you. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see that.
X squared plus y squared equals 1.
Radius is 1.
The radius is
Here's the
1.
donut. It's
Here's the
coming.
donut. So here we're only going out over.
Oh, that was a good circle.
I will give you a hint. The smaller they are, the better they're drawn.
Yes, and then drew it then drew the dots on it.
You drew it first and then put it on?
Yes.
Okay. Mine never end up like that. Alright? X squared plus y squared equals r squared.
Oh, and then are we gonna have like 2 squared plus 5 squared equals?
No.
Or
You
we
will
gonna
always
have-
have it. It's just like in y equals mx plus b, your y and your x are in every equation. This x and this y will be in every single equation. Okay? Yes.
What if it's like x squared plus y squared equals 10?
This is the square root of 10. It's at 3 point something, and I'll give you one like that. I think I gave you 3 or something. I don't remember. All right, close your eyes. I didn't erase the other group. But I did.
Ah, jeez.
I'm staring right now.
Okay. Here you go. 2 more equations for you to graph.
The same one.
Oh, I did them on different ones, but I went to a different page.
Yeah, I always get my calculator, so I see how to do it.
plus y squared equals r squared. You've been sitting there long enough. We graphed the other one. Graph 2. So what's the radius?
So easy.
5. So it's centered at the origin. Okay, so you go out with your radius of 5.
Okay. I didn't ask for your margin.
I still have never seen that. This is terrible. This is no circle.
And then can you do the next one?
No. Why do they have corners? I don't understand why it's not a circle. Why doesn't it make a circle?
It is a circle.
No, that is not a circle.
Okay. Just because I can't draw it.
I don't understand how
Wait,
you
don't
would
you have
have to
circles
have
on
it. Like, how do you have to draw it? Yeah, get a circle.
No.
Just right now.
Alright, you guys are graphing both of these.
I don't know how to
Try to
do this.
get-
Oh, wait.
Would it be 1.5 for
No.
Okay, this is x squared plus y squared equals
R?
r squared. So how did you get 5 from that?
Square root.
So what's the square root of 3?
I don't know. My calculator's broken.
I don't want you to tell me.
Well, then I'm
See,
sorry.
doesn't work. That's an oval, Miss Evans.
Stop, I haven't gone out to 5. Gosh. Goodness, Lily.
No,
Why?
it's like smushed or something. It doesn't look
Yeah.
right.
I
On
see
the
what you
line.
mean on the size.
Yeah.
Size.
Why?
Alright, that's
All I
better.
can see is that square. I'm sorry, Miss Evans. You're wrong.
What are we doing wrong then? Why can't we draw it?
Because it doesn't go like this. You have to go farther out before you come down.
Before you go home.
Okay?
And still, even if, okay.
Even if the circle's there, I still can't draw on it.
Anyway,
Wait,
how do you
try to
find
do it
that?
and then erase the circle.
With
Oh,
the
yeah, do that,
calculator.
Stop. You what?
I said, how do you?
You
find
are
that?
not plugging equations of circles in your calculator ever.
I know. I just asked, how do you find the square root of 3 without a calculator?
You just put square root of 3 there. You
how
don't.
How do you graph the square root of 3?
I don't want you to grab square root of 3.
You just said scratch.
Okay. Because it won't do it. Okay, Landry, let's use a logical sense. What's the square root of 1?
Don't know. 1, sorry.
Do you know the square root of 2?
No.
What should you know about the square root of 2? It's more than 1.
Don't know.
It's more than 1.
Yeah.
Do you know the square root of 3? No, that's what we're talking about. Do you know the square root of 4?
2.
2. So the square root of 3 has to be between what two numbers?
1 and 2.
Put a dot there. Anywhere you want. I don't even care. That's the square root of 3. And if you really want to get specific, put a thing right there that says square root of 3, 0.
Sorry, that's not okay.
0, square root of 3. Negative square root of 3, 0.
Math is supposed to be precise.
It is.
Then why are we
I'm
guesstimating where
leaving
the
the
point goes?
square root of 3 there that says that I went to square root of 3. Hey, Landry, if you want to know a little closer, put it in your calculator, square root 3. It gives you 1.73. I know, I'm sorry. 1.73. So it's about 1 3/4. Okay?
So she's trying to get like how you said it, Lily.
Oh, the first time.
The first half was good.
Oh, good.
And it's
You didn't
all.
go out far enough.
I know. I don't ever go out.
See that one in the bottom
Still
corner?
The bottom
What's
left.
the bottom
Bottom
side?
left, that is beautiful.
That is like.
I figured it out.
Okay, we still have to go on. Because sometimes circles really are over here
Yeah.
or down here. Okay? They don't always end or are centered at the origin. Okay? So let's go on. Let's figure out what happens. What does the equation look like if it's not centered at the origin? All right, you're closing your eyes. Ooh. I'll even erase my thought bubble. How about that? All right. equation.
Ooh, that looks actually really good.
Because we can always see mistakes. No, it looks amazing. Alright, there's an equation. Yes. It's okay. Nobody is coming to judge how good your circles are.
I am.
This is
I mean,
coming to
guys.
judge Miss Evans.
Guys, not about your circles. Okay, so here we go. What happens if there's an equation with a circle that's not centered at the origin? Okay, you're still going to have an x squared and a y squared. Okay,
I remember
earlier,
H and K from some equation. Probably this one.
earlier we were centered at the origin. So we could have said x minus 0. What's x minus 0?
0. No, X.
X.
So sorry.
Anything minus 0 is just that number. So x minus 0 is still x squared. Y minus 0 is still y squared. Okay? Maybe you remember from algebra 2, if you have things in parentheses with the x, you take those parentheses and you set them equal to 0. Do I need to do a thought bubble? X squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 0. How do you solve for x?
Divide.
You know? No. You do,
The quadratic.
factor thing.
You're going to do the factor thing. Will this factor?
X plus
2 and 2.
So this factors into x plus 2, x plus 2. How do you solve for x?
Equal both to 0.
You're going to set each.
X.
Oh, what in the world did I just do? X plus 2 equals 0, and you're going to solve for x, right? So x equals
2.
Negative 2.
negative 2. Okay? Because you're subtracting 2 from both sides. Okay? That is the same rule if you ever see x in a parentheses with something else. You're going to take it and you're going to set it equal to 0. So what is x minus h equal to 0? How are you going to get x by itself?
Plus
Oh, X equals
Subtracted by X.
H.
Add h to both sides.
That's not it. I said that right
X, so x will equal what?
H.
H. Okay? Y minus k
Y
equal
equals
to
K.
0. Y is going to equal k. So guess where you are centered at?
Oh, you're
H.
K.
K. So in this equation, you need this. If you've not written this equation down,
Oh, you just did.
write it down. From this, you need, it is centered. Ugh. At HK. Okay? It has a radius
Is H. Sorry.
of R. What is it?
Is HK always going to be on a point, or will it be in the middle sometimes? That'll be me.
Right now, Saxon is very nice to you, and so am I. It will always be a point. It will be x minus 2 squared plus y minus something squared.
I have a question. Is H and K just two
Letters.
random
Two random letters, but they will show up H and K for a long time. Okay?
Why?
They'll use H and K. Why do they use
They're not
ax squared plus bx plus c?
Well, because that's
That's
the
our favorite
beginning of the
one.
alphabet. The H and K aren't even next to each other.
Yeah.
There's I and J.
And H and K.
It just is.
Bad memories to me.
I'm sorry.
Why?
Alright, moving on. So,
Alright.
and,
That's result.
alright. So can you graph? Can you graph these two equations? Let's start with the pink one. Start with the pink one.
No, I'm.
Okay. X minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 9. What are your h and k?
Doing negative.
You've got an h that's right there, so right here,
And -3.
and you've got a 3, that's a k. So when you set those equal to 0, you are centered where?
So
2,
4 plus
-3.
9.
At 2, -3.
And then you go 3.
What is your radius?
9.
3.
What is your radius?
3.
You have to take the square root. Do not make that a big circle. It's always r squared.
That would be a gigantic circle.
R squared
I got
is
this one.
9, so r equals 3. Okay, does anybody see a relation between this 2 and 3 and why this is 2 and negative 3? You can say you're taking the opposite signs here. When you set it equal to 0, those will always change. Okay? But it is ultimately setting it equal to 0. So we go over to the right 2, we go down 3. That's where you are centered. From that center point, where do you go?
That's almost good.
3, 3, 3, 3.
You go 3, 3, 3, 3, all the way around. See, I went too far out that time.
And then not far out. That I was
Oh,
okay.
no.
It's okay. See, you can't ever go above that.
Excuse me.
Mine was like a cloud.
Yeah, now I just have a late. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Can you graph the next one?
Of course.
Hey, that's pretty dang good.
Oh, the next one's little.
So where are you centered at, Nicole?
Oh, wait. I'm still trying to do that one. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna do this. I hated that. Look at it. Look at that circle.
John Will, where are you centered at? 5, 3. What is the radius, Ellen?
2.
I'm sorry, but mine's the best.
So you go
Oh,
over to
sorry.
5, 2, and you're going up 2, over 2.
It just clicked in my head. Oh, it's open.
All right. I'm giving you a review test for our test on Tuesday.
Bye, Lorenzo.
Bye.
Bye.